Welcome to Adoption Side by Side podcast, because no one should have to walk the adoption journey alone. I'm Steph.
And I'm Andrea. We walk the journey together, and we want to walk it with you, if you'll have us.
Well, welcome to today's episode. We are excited to have Erica. She is part of the Journey Adoption Consultants team. She was the profile book designer for both Andrea and I during our adoption process, and she is still with them. So we're excited to have her to talk about, in my opinion, probably the biggest and most important part of the adoption journey so that you can show this book to expectant families to match with a baby. So she's here to discuss this with us today. So welcome, Erica. Thank you for being with us. So first off, of course, how did you become a profile book designer and when?
In 2002, I joined Journey Adoption Consultants. And then before that, though, I had templates on Etsy. And in 2018, we had brought home our first son through adoption. And by the time he turned 2, COVID's rolling at 2020. And I got sent home. I've been in education for 10 years at that point. And so I got sent home for COVID. And I was kind of just looking for a creative outlet. And then also our son was turning 2 at the time. And I loved our son so much that I was ready to grow our family again too. I wanted to adopt again so badly. The biggest piece with that holding us back, a lot of families are going to relate to this, was money. We were not ready to burden the cost of adoption again at that point. And so I decided, hey, I need a creative outlet. I'm going to start an Etsy shop. I'm going to save every single penny from that Etsy shop, start an adoption fund for our family. And so I did. So I created some templates for the adoption books and I put those out on Etsy, and they actually did really well. I was like one of the first people, I think, to put out those templates. I was selling them for $150 at the time. And now they're like $50 now. You can't even compete with that now. But it's crazy how that changed. A lot of people started putting out the same thing. But my goal really at that point was I wanted to help families cut the cost of adoption. I could do that with a really cheap template that was beautiful, but also had everything you needed for a profile book. Yeah. And so trying to do both things, again, save money for our family, but then also help adopting families. And then because of that Etsy shop, Journey Adoption Consultants found me and reached out to me. So it was all a God thing. God really just brought that all about. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I didn't know that part of your story, that's how you started with that. So did you just have the templates that people could purchase them and make their own profile? Or did they kick it back to you and you helped place the pictures and all that?
Nope. Originally, so we'll talk through this because I changed my view on this now. But originally I was like, we spent $650 on our profile book when we made it. And, I had thought then, my friend had asked me, why didn't you make this yourself? And I said, I'm too scared, like most families are. I don't know what I'm doing. I want them to do it. I want a professional to do it. And then when I started those templates, I was really like, okay, I've been through this process. I can do this for other families. I can make this really pretty. And at that point, I really just wanted to help people save money. So I was really like, no, I don't want to do the custom books. I really just want to help people save money. And so I had priced them at like $150. I'm like, that's so much cheaper than $650. Right. So yeah, but my view has kind of changed on that because I have seen, and we can talk about this later, but I have really seen the value of the custom book. And my thoughts have really changed on that.
Okay. Well, why don't we talk about what exactly is a profile book and why is that so important in this adoption process?
Yeah, the profile book really introduces you to the expectant family. It tells the expectant mom who you are as a family, what you value, what you do with your free time, what your home's like. And so it really, truly is like one of the most important parts of the adoption process. I think it's sometimes families come into the adoption process and they don't realize they're going to have to create this book. I didn't know I was going to have to create this book. Did you guys know that?
I can say no. I don't think Alex and I knew that because they had adopted his little sister through foster care, so they didn't need one. And I don't think until we talked with Bree, That's when I realized it.
I did
Yeah.
only because of my friend that first connected me with Journey, because she
Okay.
had gone through the process. So she showed me her profile book. So that's how I was like, oh, there's a profile book. That's really cool. But I had no idea before that. So
Yeah, exactly. And so I think families, they go through, they're jumping all the hoops, they're going through everything, they're doing the home study, they're paying all these fees. You're constantly going through the process, and then it goes, okay, now we have to have a profile book. And I think sometimes it's like, oh, we've already done all this, now we're going to have a profile book. And so just knowing that that is the first impression with the expectant mom,
Mhm.
and that's how she's choosing you and your family, that it is so important. And to, once you get to that step, don't be so tired through the process to like really, we want you to take that part seriously. And it'll just help so much.
So, what makes a profile book memorable to an expectant mom or family when they're reading it and looking at it?
Okay, so I used to always answer this question way different, completely differently. I say, I tell families, it's really, you're all so unique. Every family is their own individual family, and that really just comes alive through your pictures and your professional pictures. And you're really just going to stand out and be unique because of what your family naturally does, like how you're naturally spending your time, whether it's, I'm always, every Sunday we're going over to my grandma's house, and we always have this big brunch. Or we have families who they homeschool, and I think that's different than another family that lives out in the country and they have all these chickens and horses. And just like the lifestyles are so different from each other that we love to showcase that. And I think expectant mom that is right for that family is going to fall in love with that family for who they are. And that's what we love to do.
yeah, I definitely have seen that as I've seen more and more profile books, just how unique families are, just like you said, just from how they live their lives.
Yes.
I think we
Yes.
think, like I struggled with when we first started writing like our words for a profile book or sending you pictures. I struggled with, we are not interesting. Like there's nothing that unique about us. We're boring. And as time has gone on, I've just seen, but it's just about your daily life, because that's what the family cares about, is your daily life,
Yes.
not what makes you
Yes.
unique.
Where
Like
they can see their child fitting into that. Like for us in the
Yes.
summer months, it's going to the baseball fields. So can
Yes.
I see my child that
Yes.
I am placing for adoption going to a baseball field? Or is my family a sit at home, play games, read books, that type of family? So no, that family's not going to match for me, but
Yes.
just all of that. And then two, I know we've talked about it, when we get the cases of the expectant moms and families, us seeing like, well, would that mom fit in our family? So would she pick us to place her child? So we do it both ways.
Yeah, both ways.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, you guys. And I think then when expectant moms see, you know, those pictures of you doing baseball in your book, then that's just going to resonate. And that those are the things that click, and those are the things that make that connection.
Yeah.
And so it's so great, and I love it so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. So why don't we talk about what all needs included in this book, and how do you help families capture it all in that authentic way we're talking about?
Yeah, so I think we just have a structure or a format of how many pages we want in the book and what we want to have included. I was talking to a family the other day, and they had made a book somewhere else, and their book was only like 3 or 4 pages, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so different from what we do. And so I think part of that is we want to be able to fully tell the story of who your family is, and that is going to take more than a couple pages. And so just making sure that we have the right amount of pictures. Pictures are also a huge thing. Just the first thing expectant mom is going to look at are those pictures. And so, you know, when she gets a stack of books, she's going to look through those books and flip through the books and see the pictures first, and then probably kind of narrow down the families just by seeing those pictures first, and then narrow down the families and read through the text and that kind of a thing. And so pictures are a huge part of the book. And so just making sure we have enough we call them candid photos, so like your real life photos from your phone. And then also we do professional photos as well. And that's also a huge piece of the book, is having really good professional photos as well.
We all had certain pages we had to do. So like there was a page about us,
Yes.
then there was a page about me, a
Yep.
page about Alex, maybe a page about our extended family, but then you had it designed that we had pages we could pick from for what mattered to our family. Is that still the way that Journey does it? Because I know all profile books are different, but Journey has a set template just to make sure our books do stand out a little bit more.
Yeah. We have what we call like just the bones of the book that we will never not include. So like we always have a home page. Families will always have an introduction of each parent so that expectant mom can understand each parent's education and their background a little bit and their career and their hobbies. And then we always have an extended family page or friends and community page to show how each family has a bunch of support for when baby comes home and how they're supported and loved through that. And so, yeah, there's always pages that to always include in the profile book. Those specifically, there's always a hello letter that you want to include. And a lot of times we do a letter at the end of the book too, to wrap that up. And it's a good way to wrap up the book. And then also, I think something that's super important is to show your activities, or sometimes it's a travel page for families, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes families, they're just doing their local events. Like my family right now is in a season where we just go and we do the Christmas festivities and the Halloween festivities in our town. And that's really, we go to the pool, we go to the park, because I have kiddos right now. And so really that's what I would show on a page of like our real life or our activities, what we're doing. I'm not necessarily traveling to Europe every all the time. So that would be our family right now. But some people are. I mean, some families are traveling, and so that's what they include. And so having that travel or real life page, or we call it a how you spend your days page, that's important too, because it shows what you're doing with your time, like we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any ways that you would highlight things like diversity, traditions, or values? How do you do that in a way that feels natural to the reader?
Yeah, that's the number one thing, is we want it to feel natural and organic and genuine. I don't want it to be cringy or awkward. Yeah, so we really include some of those things. Like some of those things are things you would put on your homepage or your extended family page of the traditions or values you guys have as a family. And some of those are passed down through family. And then diversity, that might be on your community page or your friends and community page and the people you hang out with. That also might be on your homepage, and the city you live in, and those events you're doing in your real life, like going down to some of the festivals or whatever's happening in your city, those types of things. So we would put that on a homepage. But yeah, just making sure it goes on the right page and it's not just a random paragraph somewhere in your book. And yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It does. And then with that, because you're saying about the city that we live in, is there things that we shouldn't put in our profile book? So like I know when we were doing ours, you had mentioned like watching house numbers or streets, and actually our photographer took a picture in front of our house, and I hadn't even mentioned it to her, and she said, I'm going to crop out your house number just so that it's not there. Are there things that when we send them to you that you're like, oh, let's not add that in, just for that confidentiality and safety piece of it?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yes. So last names, we don't want to include your last names in the book. So we're going to keep last names safe, just your first names. We're also not going to include your hometown, your city. We're not going to put your city in the book. So just your state. I would just recommend putting your state so that stays private. And then, yeah, checking photos for especially your homepage for your address numbers, making sure those are cropped out, or a lot of programs now, you can just erase it out. Then also sometimes shirts, like our shirts or our sweatshirts might have our sports teams on them, or hometown or church even. So just making sure, sometimes I've seen pictures with the school name is in the background. They're in front of their school. So their school name, and we just take stuff like that out of the book as much as possible.
Yeah.
So, and just looking for that as you're creating a book.
So how do you balance design and storytelling so that the book both feels beautiful and genuine?
Yeah, I think it's through those pictures. I always start with pictures when I design a book. I used to try to design the book and then have people give me their professional photos and I'll plug it in, but I always redo the book. I need to see their professional photos. It just really just takes the direction of the book, and I think, you have to have a lot of white space. It can't be too cluttered. It cannot be too much design or too busy, because you got to think about the reader. I mean, nobody wants to read a really cluttered page. It's very hard to read and hard to connect with. And we just want it to look beautiful when you open it, kind of like a magazine looks beautiful. But yet at the same time, we're trying to be genuine, right? We're not
Right.
trying to be fake like a magazine, or like, oh, we have this picture perfect life, because nobody has that. It's we're showing you real photos of your real lives and what you guys do with your lives. And so, yeah, it is a balance. It's a balance of it. We want it to be beautiful, but also to be genuine and authentic, for sure.
When you see those professional photos, which you said like how that helps take the direction of the book. So,
Yes.
and I'm asking this because I have no design experience whatsoever. So maybe this is a dumb question, but I was just curious if it's more you're getting kind of the vibe of the pictures, or if it's a lot of it's like about the colors. Like, what is it that kind of drives the
Yeah,
direction?
good question. Good question. It's really both for me. It is really the vibe of the book. Like, so based off those photos, I'm like, okay, I feel like I see you. Like, it's kind of the vibe of the book. Oh, are we going to go more modern? Are we going to go more, I don't know, like florals and light and airy? And then it's the colors too. Okay, so now let's pull those colors and let's keep it cohesive. When I first started, I would tell families, oh, sure, you should do 2 outfit changes with your professional photos. That would be fun. That'd be great. But actually, now I say, no, let's just keep the same outfits across the board, because when we're filling up that book, it'll look so cohesive and it'll stay the same colors. And yeah, it just really makes the book cohesive.
Erica, have you ever had we pick the template that we think we need to use for our book? Like I think Alex and I picked just not modern, but I don't know. I can't even remember what we picked, but like somebody picks something and then you start to get their pictures and then you're like, oh, that's not really vibing with what the pictures are saying. And you've had to go back to them and say, hey, I love that, but your pictures and everything you've sent me more goes with this template. You know what I mean? Like it didn't happen with us,
For sure.
but
I
I think I also said to you, I want this, but you pick whatever's going to work because like Andrea, no creativity when it comes to that. I can
No,
knit, I
that's
can sew, but
No, that's okay. No, nobody's ever said anything.
Okay.
Like, that does happen. I do switch it all the time, or I'm like, okay, we're gonna go this direction. I think it's so funny. Once people see the book, they just love it, and then they're just like, "This looks so great! It looks amazing!" And so then they just like, yeah, they don't even think about what they picked from the beginning,
Right.
honestly. So they just like it. So I'm like, yeah, okay, that works. But I have had a couple that do want to change maybe the colors a little bit, and they're like, this is not me. And I was like, yes, absolutely, let's make it more you. So, and that's always my goal, to give people a book that they feel confident in presenting, because it's their book and it's their story, and I want them to be so confident in presenting it to expectant moms.
Right. And I do know I can say that there were a couple pictures that we had sent you, and then you picked ones for whatever pages. And I was like, Erica, I don't like that picture. Can we use
Yes,
this one instead? And you
Yes.
like were like, of course. And I was like, I don't know. I want to show a different friend group or a different friend. Like that's one of the ones that
Yes.
sticks out the most. You had picked a certain one, and I went, nope, that's not the one I want to use. And I asked you to just switch it out. And I love that too, that we were able to work together and you were okay with the changes that we needed to make. And if I asked you if we could make a change, you're like, no, I think you should stick with this. And I did it and it was okay. So I like that too.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there are some, very rarely, but sometimes we'll say, I think you guys need to reconsider keeping this picture in there for this reason. And families are really good about trusting us and saying, okay, but that's rare. Usually if it's just a photo that I like this photo better, like absolutely, we'll swap it out and we want you to love it. And yeah, we do. That's a whole part of the book process is I'll design a book in a week, but then I go back to families and we spend about another week or two editing the book. So yeah, it takes a little bit.
You just answered one of our questions that I wrote down
Oh,
while we were
sorry.
talking. I was like, I don't think we have this one. How long does it typically take? But so it takes you about a week, but then from start to finish, because you do an interview with the families. So from that point to when the book is published, how long is the whole profile book design process?
So it is messy because everybody hands things in at a different pace. Some people are just ready to rock and roll, and some people are still working through their home study. So they have a lot happening at once. Some people are done with home study. So it just depends. But basically, I tell families, as soon as you hand everything in, your pictures and your written content, then it takes me about 3 weeks we can wrap the whole thing up. So once you hand everything in, I get to move them to the top of the list. They're the next people I design. I put them on my calendar for the next week. And then it takes me about a week to design the book. And then the consultants and I go back and forth. So they get multiple eyes on the book. So Leanne and Bree are working on, and Marcy, they read over those books, and then we kind of talk about it. We send it back to the families, and then we do edits with the families that take about anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. It just takes a while for communication to go back and forth and just adding new pictures and things like that in. And then we do one more final draft so they can approve the book to be printed. So then I print them. I print 10 hard copies, or it might be 5 now. I think it's 5 now. And then I do their final files and give them their final files, both digital, and then the hard copies get shipped to their house. So 3 to 4 weeks about roughly. But it just depends. It could go faster than that too if we don't have a bunch of families all at once, or if sometimes everybody hands in everything all at once. It's like, I'm so sorry, we're trying to get this done. So, and then there's just a lot of emails and edits and things always happening. So in the background of like a book's being created this week, but I'm also wrapping up another book over here, Yeah. It's a lot of moving pieces.
It is. What would you say are maybe the biggest mistakes that hopeful adoptive parents make when they're creating the profile book? What are the things you most often have to go back and say, oh, this really isn't the best idea? What would you say those are?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing I can think of is just, we talked about this kind of at the beginning, taking the book seriously. Of like, I know families have gone through the hoops, right? They've already had to give out a bunch of money. They've already had to do a bunch of paperwork. And so now, a profile book, I got to do another thing. Here, just do it. You say, I need to get pictures. Here's my pictures. Here's my text. Here, just do it. Not taking it seriously enough to go out and get those really nice professional photos that we ask for. Just, if you can follow the things that your designer is telling you to go do, like get those professional photos, hand in a bunch of candid photos, following the things that they're asking you to do and do it well, and taking this part seriously will make a huge difference. Because again, this is the first impression with the expectant mom. This is how you're going to get matched with the expectant mom and baby. And it's just like, you put in all the time, all the money. This is where to put money and time in almost the most, even after we've already asked you to do it a bunch of times. And so just to remember that.
Well, it makes sense because, yeah, you've done all of the upfront stuff and the paperwork, but then this is what that expectant mom sees. And like, what more do you want to like give your time and your focus to than connecting and making an initial impression on that family?
Yeah, Andrea, I mean, that's exactly it. She does not see all the time and money and time you have put into all that paperwork. Nobody sees that, right? Except for you. You know that. And at that point, everybody's already exhausted. And we know that we come to the table, a lot of us come to the adoption table of already walking through a lot before we get to adoption, right? And so I think a lot of times we just see families, they're just, it's another thing we have to do. And so I always try to, on the phone call, say, if you trust us and just, I promise you, we want the best for you. Trust us with this and go get those photos. We will get you a great book and it will turn out great. And we just see a lot of success with that when families follow through with that. So
I think that Journey does a really good job too of hyping up that part of this is the fun part. Not that don't take it seriously, but this isn't like the intense paperwork and the interviews. And this is just creating that digital scrapbook of your lives. So if you can kind of keep that focus on it, remember that it shouldn't be as stressful as, we got to examine all of our bank documents and stuff. But to still take it seriously, put the work into it, but it shouldn't be that that stress level.
Enjoy the photos.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank
enjoy
you.
the photos.
Yes.
Enjoy looking through the pictures, getting your
Yes.
professional pictures done. We had a blast doing our professional pictures.
We did too, because
they were fun.
we did 2 sets. We had
Mhm.
done the fall ones, and then after talking to you, I was like, "Nuh-uh, these photos, like they're gonna cut it, but we need more professional ones." And
Is that when you did the lifestyle
we did the
ones?
lifestyle
Yeah.
ones at our home, and those ones were so much fun because
I
it was
love
just
those. Every time I see them, like,
at
those
home,
are perfect.
Like I still go back if I need a picture of just like Alex or something. I'm like, Alex, I need the Dropbox, and I look through those because we had
Yes.
so much fun. And Keely even came; she was our photographer that did them, and she was like, I wasn't sure what to expect with this, so we were all looking on like Pinterest and Google to see what we needed to do, and we're just taking these photos. And then she's like, "Do you have peanut butter?" And I was like, "Why do I need peanut butter?" She goes, "We're gonna go take some like funny pictures with peanut butter where you can just be yourselves." Those couple photos are by far my most favorite photos I've ever
that's so
taken with
sweet.
Alex because we both have
That
a
is so
spoonful of
sweet.
peanut butter and we're just
Yes.
naturally laughing, and she caught it. And like we had fun. The other photo shoot was fun. The whole family was there. Those ones were a little bit more like everybody pose. Everybody that I've
Yes.
decided I'm not doing that this next time. The next time we want to do the whole family with lifestyle photos, fine, but I want just those fun ones for our professional ones. I don't know, I felt like you could connect with them more.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, you guys, I mean, you brought up 2 amazing points. Yes, that they're lifestyle photos, like, that's what they are. They should be lifestyle photos. They're not just posed ones, standing there posed in front of the camera. These what we are talking about with these professional photos, are they capturing your authentic selves, right? And like you said, Steph, just the lifestyle photos where you're walking, hanging out, laughing, and then your photographer can hopefully capture that, right? And then, like you said, Andrea, like, we do want this to be fun. So I always tell families too, I'm like, are you excited for this part? And sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know. Or sometimes they're like, yeah, we are actually excited to do something fun and not paperwork, you know?
Right.
So yeah, it is the fun part. I think it's so
Yeah.
much fun. So
Yeah.
All right. So we kind of maybe touched on this a little bit, but are there the must-have sections or elements that you recommend that the books absolutely positively have to have?
The hello letter for sure. You're going to introduce yourself and acknowledge adoption in your hello letter, just what the expectant mom is going through. And then an introduction page of both you and your spouse. And then also, we always do a why adoption page. Why are you adopting? I mean, expectant mom needs to, that's very important to have. The home page is very important to have. We kind of talked about having a travel page or how we spend our days page. That's just like highlighting your activities that you do in your real life. And then a family page or friends and community page showing the support you're going to have when baby comes home. And then we always kind of wrap it up with a final letter at the end. And that's where you can talk about what you want for the future, whether that be an open adoption, if expectant mom is open to that, or you talk about some of those things that you just want to promise her of how you'll love her child unconditionally and those types of things at the end.
And
Yeah,
then,
those are kind of the bones of the book, I would say.
okay. And then with all of that, like for us, the first time, obviously we didn't have other children. How do families highlight that they're wanting that sibling for their child in a way that an expectant mom is looking and saying, "Oh, that kid has the life. I want to place my baby with that family to have that child as their sibling," or I don't, does that question make sense?
Yeah, like
Okay.
if you
Like how to
already have a
stand
child
out. Yeah,
now.
how to stand
Yep.
out in that sense. Because I
Yep.
know when we were reading cases, some of the cases were, it would flat out say, expectant mom wants a sibling for the child, or expectant mom wants this child to be their first. So in those 2 different cases, how do you stand out to both moms, I guess? Because maybe something stands out to that mom who was like, oh, I wanted my child to be an only child, but wait a minute, I'm connecting really well with that family. I think I will place my child there so that they do have a sibling already. How do they stand out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so then once you have kiddos, you would introduce them in the book as well, and they would have a page. And I love these pages. This is where I would fill it up with, what is that kiddo doing? What are these families doing? And that's where that activities, how we spend our days page really comes into play. I would fill it up with, oh, they're going to the pool. Oh, they're playing outside. Look at them playing in the sand. Look at this life this kiddo already has, and they get to experience all these things that you're already doing. We talked about, baseball. You guys are maybe going to the baseball fields. I would throw that type of all those activities in there to showcase what this kiddo is doing and the awesome life they're getting to live. And I think that just tells so much. I also love cousins. Like if that kiddo has a lot of cousins, that's so fun. Like, oh, look, we get together with all these cousins. Or even if you don't have cousins, maybe you have a friend group and I always say, hey, do you guys have pictures with the kiddos' friends? Like all the kiddos are together and they have friends, and oh, look, they're trick-or-treating together. Oh, look, they're running around in the sprinkler together. I love highlighting those types of things. That shows they're living their best life.
So mental note, take more pictures of our sons with their friends, because I don't think I do that enough. And we do play dates and all the things. So
and a life happening and you just forget to take those pictures. It reminds me too, just, absolutely.
Is it important to have both electronic and hard copies of the profile book? So like I know we had 10 hard copies, but then we had the electronic, but then we also had the PDF version that if we needed to, we could have printed more hard copies.
Yep. So that's how we do it at Journey Adoption Consultants. I think it's still being used very well that way. I think getting that hard copy in expectant mom's hands, if you can, is the best. But then sometimes cases just come in so fast, or we call them stork drops. Babies are already born. And so then you have to, mom's looking for a family right away. And so you have to send things digitally as well. And so to be able to have that digital file, sometimes those PDFs can be so big because of all the photos, those files can be so large that we condense them and compress them so that they're easily able to send through email. So
yeah. And I remember one thing that was recommended to us was that we keep one of those hard copies in our car, just because they talked about sometimes there's that overnight you have to hurry up and send it because maybe that agency requires a hard copy be sent, but it needs to be quick. So
that happened to us. We were like narrowed down between us and one other family, and they wanted the hard copy. Mom had looked at both our books digitally, but that she wanted a hard copy. And I'm like, I am literally at a retreat, women's retreat. Like, how am I supposed to get this? And so our agency at that time was like, okay, you're going to order it here. It's going to be spiral bound and you'll send it. And she didn't we didn't end up getting that case off, which again, all a God thing. But yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes you do just need to have that ready to go. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I guess I probably don't remember that because I think at that point, that was something Alex kept in his car because his work was a block from the post office. So it was like, if that has to happen, you find somebody to step in and you go to the post office. Like you can be there and back in 10 minutes where I wasn't able to. So I think that's probably why I don't remember that so much, because I think it was in his car, like nice and safe in an envelope, and then like came out all those months later.
Ours was the reverse situation, but then we left it in the car and it was in, like in the backseat of your car, there's like those flaps you put things in. We put it in there so our son would be pulling it out and like looking through it, and he'd be like, Mama, Dada. But yeah, he got to enjoy it. So the copy that I have, I think we do have other copies still, but the copy I have is very beat up from it's being well loved by our son. So nothing wrong with that.
No, that's fine.
Should adoptive families provide a hard copy of the book to the birth mother at the hospital or placement? Like I know we did, and
we did too.
I thought you did too. But is that something that I don't want to say is expected, but should happen so that if she doesn't already have a copy of it, she has it? Or is that not a good idea?
Yeah, no, I think giving her a copy at some point is a good idea. And so she can have a copy at some point. I don't know. Everybody's hospital experience is so different, and it's such a stressful time and can be a stressful time. And so just making sure she has it at some point. I don't know. I'm glad your guys' experience with that went really well to be able to give her that in the hospital. But I think just maybe before that, if you could get it to her before that and meet her before that. But see, everybody's different. Maybe you don't have a chance or an opportunity to meet her before that either. So
I know we didn't meet Mom, so we didn't give it to her directly. I believe we gave it to our caseworker, and we said when the time is right or whatever. So I think that's how we did it. I think we give it to our caseworker to get it to her.
Usually the people working with expectant moms will give them the hard copy.
Yeah. Because that was the safer way for us to do it.
Yeah, and I think that in our case, I can't remember if our agency had a hard copy or not. If they did, they only had one hard copy. So we took it and we were able to give it to her in person. The agency we went through, they tried to have you and Mom have a dinner before the baby was born
Yeah.
if there was an induction date scheduled. Ours did not turn out that way, so we were not there. I mean, we got the, hey, born very expectantly overnight, come on out. So we ended up giving it to her at the hospital, but yeah.
Yeah, which is fine too.
Mhm.
I think that's an organic thing that
Yeah,
happened.
depends on the
And I think,
situation.
yeah, I think just like going in as a fresh family, you just don't know what's going to happen. And then so I
Right.
think they do encourage, to
Mhm.
start building that relationship before baby comes. And so
Mhm.
if there's a time where she can have that
Mhm.
book beforehand, that would be great.
Yeah.
And it is. A lot of times I think the agencies will do that for you.
Mhm.
I know like our oldest son, his mom said she was always looking back through the book, as we were talking and getting to know each other before he was born. And that was, she loved having it, that
Mhm.
she could just see our pictures and stuff before we met.
So
Yep.
we talked a little bit about this earlier because this was my definite fear. What advice would you give to a family who feels average or worries they just won't stand out?
Yes, it's so funny you said that. When I have the phone calls with all the families, almost everybody says that. They
Yeah.
literally say, "Well, I don't think we're too interesting," or "I don't think we're kind of boring." That's what I hear a lot. "Well, we're kind of boring." And I said, "Send me your photos. I promise you're not boring." So families are again living their lives, doing these things that are actually really interesting that expectant moms want to see. Hey, how does my child fit into that lifestyle? And again, it's really just the activities you're naturally doing. And so you don't have to be unique. Your family's already unique because of what you're doing and how you're living your life. And we will highlight that and showcase that through your profile book in a beautiful way. Yes. But that is a fear. I mean, gosh, yeah. If I'm the person just hanging out at home and somebody else is traveling, I think we can just get in our minds about those things. But
Mhm.
that's every expectant mom is looking for something different. A lot of them are looking for different
Mhm.
things. And so again, that's where God comes in. That's where,
Mhm.
it can only be God to create that connection and that special connection that that expectant mom has with you. And we want all that to be genuine and natural too. So
I saw
yeah.
this one video I thought was really helpful on it with, I want to say it was another consultant group that had put it out, but there was a mom who was worried because they'd even told her her book sometimes was being rejected because she's very over the top. Like she was a content creator. She lived, I don't use the word extravagant lifestyles in terms of money, but she just loved to dress up, be fancy. And they
Yeah,
told her, hey, some of the moms, she's like, well, should I change that? And they said, no, the right mom will
Will love
love
that.
that. Do
exactly.
not cut
Exactly.
down like your personality. I thought that was cool because that's definitely, I mean, I'm very like, you're lucky I've got my hairbrush and makeup on. Like I'm very different than that. And some mom would like that, whereas another mom is
Yes,
going to
exactly.
love this woman who lives cool influencer lifestyle. And so yeah, I thought that
Yes,
was
that's
helpful to see.
that's a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So then we know that not all families choose the consultant path when they choose adoption, and that's okay. It's what fits right for you and your family.
Yep.
So with that, for a family that might be doing it themselves, their profile book, what's your top tip to avoid and to help them so that they don't get
Mhm.
overwhelmed?
Yeah. So if they are going to do it themselves, I would say definitely go out and get a template. There are so many templates now out on Etsy that takes the design part out of the process. All you have to focus on is writing your book. And a lot of times, like I know mine on Etsy, it comes with that guide of what do you say in your book. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's already very helpful and very valuable, just that piece alone. And then it already has just the places where you can plug in your pictures and the design is done for you. So you can just focus on the photos and the written content. And I think that's so valuable and helpful for families who want to do things themselves. I will also push a little harder and say, now that I've done this for 4 years, there is so much value in having a professional designer do your book. Again, like I said, I started this like wanting to help families save money, but just I think because the book is so important, there's just so much value that comes with a custom book and somebody just taking that whole process off your plate.
Mhm. Would you like to give how do you do an Etsy link? Is it by store name or?
Yeah, so my Etsy shop is the Little Knit Home Company.
Knit
Sounds
like
good.
KNIT.
Yeah,
Yes.
KNIT. Yep. And then Journey, we are open to doing custom books for honestly any family outside of Journey. Our Journey families get a little extra, bonus things, but if anybody's outside of Journey Adoption Consultants, we can still design custom books for them.
What is your favorite part of helping families create these profile books?
Yeah, it's definitely getting to cheer on these families and watching babies come home to these families. And you guys were sending pictures earlier. I love to see all the pictures and just the happiness and joy and just knowing that we've helped those families grow and be together and hearing people's stories. And a lot of these families are talking about their connections with their now birth mom and their open adoptions. And gosh, just being able to hear all that and be a part of it all in a small way is so fun.
That's awesome.
It's the best. It's the best.
If you could tell every hopeful adoptive parent one thing before starting their book, what would it be?
Just to take the profile book seriously, but have fun with it. Obviously have fun with it, but to take it seriously and it is worth the time and money and investment. It really is all the investment you do on the back end. This is just worth all of that stuff you've done on the back end. Like put your time and money into this as well. So push a little harder, a little further in the process, and it'll be worth it. So,
Erica, we really appreciate your time today. I think that this is all great info for our families who are considering this path and thinking through what kinds of materials they're going to need for that profile book, and hopefully, like you said, being excited for it, you getting through that final push in this process. And so we are going to close out today in prayer. God, I thank you so much for Erica, for the great work that she does with Journey and with her own business of helping families, of being this cheerleader for families and helping to showcase their lives to prospective bio families who are looking to place a child for adoption. And I just thank you for her willing spirit and her creative expertise and for her willingness to talk today. And I just pray for any families who are kind of getting into that stage of the adoption journey right now, for the perseverance, the strength to get through that thing that feels like, oh, we've done all of this. We're so close to being able to review cases and hopefully have that big moment of a match. And I just pray you give them the energy they need to get through this section and to enjoy this part of the process, to enjoy thinking through the pictures that showcase their lives, the words that best describe their lifestyle. And God, I just pray you be with us as we go about the rest of our day. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. You can find us on any major podcast platform and on Instagram at Adoption Side by Side to listen to more episodes and follow along in our personal adoption journeys as they change.